Welcome back to College Football 26, episode 37. At the moment, I'm trying to cram in as many episodes as I can with the hope and the eventuality of getting a national championship and then instantly being done with the series if that happens. But I'm also into a weird window of trying to wrap up every series that I have active with new series on the way. November 4th, I can record prior to that date, and as long as I have edited everything prior to that date, I can still have episodes that go past that point, with depending on how far. Now, at the moment, I'm more than a week ahead when it comes, but as one series wraps up and another, it opens a window and more episodes then fill into the slots. So honestly, I don't know where exactly I'm at in the scheme of things, other than that I'm quite a few episodes ahead and also working on wrapping up one other series right now as well. That being said, the goal is to try to get that championship before we have to just end. When I reach that point, when I run out of time, that's it. I'm done. So this last season, we're getting close, right? We got that 96 across the board. We end up finishing the year inside the top 10. We've had a top 5 recruiting class recently. We rebounded from a bad year. We are close. Now, technically, I hit the number of championships to go through a big restructure, and maybe that's the time frame we needed to make the push into the biggest of conferences. Maybe a move to, say, the Big Ten, which geographically would make sense. Not that much makes sense geographically, and I really think that if I'm going to make a move, I'm going to do a pretty big restructuring in what I think college football should look like divisionally. But we'll see. I haven't decided for sure whether I want to do that. That's another time consumer. Players leaving. Let's see who's outbound. We can retain 9 guys, and there's fewer than that trying to leave. We do have a sophomore quarterback in Duhan, who we just brought in as a transfer last year, but he ended up being overshadowed by another. This one sucks. We've got a true freshman tight end who wants to leave. He's worried about play style. Where does that come from? Because that's definitely not how things have functioned. But we got 2 guys in the mid-90s that want to leave us. Burden is the one that doesn't make any sense, because we are literally in the playoff, true championship contender, and he's still interested in leaving a second time. Burden was one of the couple guys that left us last year, and then we were able to convince them to come back, and he's leaving us once again. Wow, we've had 2 successes with some mid-80s players. That's good. Well, so we are going to retain 2 of those. We're only losing 6. The problem is it's all quality, but that's the entirety of the roster now. Anyway, Skaggs is graduating, so we are going to be looking for a different quarterback this season. In 88, free safety. In 89, right guard. 88, wide receiver. 89, weak side linebacker. 91, tight end. 89, corner. 91 wide receiver, 90 center, and a 93 middle linebacker. That is a lot of quality graduating this season, hence the 96 overall that we had for the year. Shockingly, after the season we just had, undefeated, we did not get the half star back. It's crazy to me that one good season, 8-5 is not a bad season, one 8-5 season saw us lose quickly a half star. It's been 3 or 4 years of fantastic seasons, and we have not been able to overcome the one good season, and so we stay at 3 stars. That is so weird to me that it would be like that, because how in the world do we not have 100 programs at 0 stars right now? If that's the factor, if that's the, or 1 star or 1.5 stars, it just doesn't make sense to me that there can be anything other than 20 or so programs with a good star rating. Well, we're back to having a good one for the draft this year with 8 players. 8 players go in the draft. 3 seventh rounders, a 6th rounder, a 5th rounder, 2 third rounders, and 1 in the first round in Josh Roth, the junior right tackle who went early. In terms of spots to refill, we got a couple linebackers, just 1 in the secondary, so we're not hurting too much on defense. But offensively, that tight end's definitely going to be one of the harder ones to place. Childress was great, but we have so much depth at wide receiver. I'm not too worried about that. And Skaggs will definitely be one to replace. And we found that I don't necessarily have to stick to dual threat guys. As a pocket passer with quality, did a lot of good things for us. A lot of good things. It just they've got to have at least some legs. And as long as they do, it's fine, because they can do so much more with their arm than our dual threat quarterbacks seem to be capable of, as they spread the wealth, the attributes a bit, maybe a bit too much. Well, my initial set of high school recruits we're looking at, I've got 11 of 13 locked up. Pretty good on most accounts, right? 10 of the first 12 that we went after got us there, but of the second wave, not much has happened. We've only secured 1 of them so far, and then just 2 left that are potentially on the way. There is competition for both, but I feel pretty confident here that we can get signatures over the line pretty quickly on these as we go into this off-season pattern. After that, though, 14 to 22 are my 3-star guys to help fill out the class, who I may or may not continue with, though we've got a nice head start on most of them. There was competition on some. I didn't shy away from it as much as I have in the past, because I've noticed, at least with 3 stars, other programs don't tend to go all in on it, so it's pretty easy to overcome some of that, at least. But now we're going to get into that transfer market and look to fill out and kind of see where our hours put us and what's out there. I think I'm going to go for hopefully a lot of good seniors coming in that can step into starter roles for us and give us big minutes. I'm at that phase where I'm getting very worried about the time frame remaining until my upcoming releases, and just trying to free up that calendar. So I would love to win the championship here and now. I think we are close enough to really have a go at it. But we've got to commit in 4-star corner Ojabo. This is one of our high school recruits going across the line. First 3-star guy signed, right guard Shote. As to those 4 stars, Bryson has signed with us. So that's our high school group of 4 stars or better, complete at 13. But we're also starting to add in from the transfer market, Cody, quarterback, 4 stars, ready to sign. Just a freshman. I'm not sure if he's ready to step into the starting job yet. National Signing Day. Before I look down my list to see if we got all 35 guys we were targeting and where our class ranks, I do want to point out that I now have a pretty good feeling, a gauge of kind of where we're at. At 2.5 stars and below, competing for the 4-star guys is tough. The moment we hit that 3rd star, we're doing a really good job of securing a lot of 4-star guys, beating out others to it. There is competition involved for many of those. We're still losing some, but we're getting a lot of 4-star signatures and putting together really good classes, leading to good development within the program, making us very competitive. 3 stars has been a huge step for us. 3.5, that little bit more, that extra half star suddenly puts us into top 5 territory. We're able to get a few 5 stars, not just the occasional sneak one in, but get them, go strong, and get those signatures across the line even before others can come in. Still not easy, but doable. That's kind of where we're at on the 4 stars guys at, 3 stars. Prestige rating. It's confusing. Stars and stars. They're not all aligned, are they? But that 3.5 star section, puts us in the driver's seat for a lot of 4-star guys. It's a lot easier to win battles in the extra hours. Really gets us going on getting many signatures in that department. Top 5 class. I think a fourth star would, we would be the number 1 class, I think, on an almost yearly basis if we can ever get to a 4th star type scenario. Doesn't take 5-star to be the best, recruiting wise. You just have to be smart. And it feels like you could do that at 4 stars. You could be top 5 at 3.5 stars, which could put you in the position you need to be to go after that championship. I'm disappointed that we didn't get that half-star back this year. I really felt what we did should have easily gotten us back over that line to get there. Yeah, I think it's ridiculous that we can go in undefeated, make the playoff, and not pick up that half-star from being a 3-star standpoint. It's different if you're already 4 stars trying to get to 4.5. That takes many, many years of repeating that process. But yeah, from 3 stars, we should have easily picked that up, especially when we didn't have that bad of a year prior. And yet we so easily lost that half-star. Like I said at the beginning of this episode, I really do feel very confidently that the math does not add up if other programs in this game had an 8-5 season. Most of them would not have lost a half-star, and certainly not to the extent that we did, to go undefeated this year and into the playoff before taking our first and only loss of the year, to not be able to recover it. It doesn't add up. Doesn't add up. The distribution of stars, of prestige out there. I feel like it's a lot harder for us to gain than it is for other programs to gain. I mean, how in the world is Tulane, a 4-star program, a perennial for the playoff from this conference? And yet we've been right there with them, competing for those championships, splitting them, and we still can't push beyond 3 stars. Anyway, let's go through the list. How have we done? Did we get all 35? We got 34. I didn't even think Notre Dame was on this list, and I was. Maybe they were. Ole Miss was the one that I was chasing. That's weird. Well, okay, we got 34. That is good enough to crack the top 10. Even without that half-star, we, for the 3rd time, have been able to crack that top 10. It's just, we're always on the edge. Like, top 15 seems pretty standard for where we're at with 3 stars. But we did get 2 5-star signatures, 16 4 stars this year, and 16 3 stars to round out that class. It's a very good class still, but, clearly. And actually, we tied Michigan in terms of ratings. We are both 238.2. But you got like Georgia and Texas who weren't even ranked, still getting in the top 5. Still massive programs. Georgia hasn't done anything in this game in the last 10-15 years. They still have like 4 stars. Where's their ratings going? They didn't even finish in the top 25. How have they not dropped to 3 stars or below? Tennessee is another good example. Haven't done anything in real life in the last couple of decades. They've rarely been in the top 25, or generally just in the top 25. They're always kind of hovering around that edge. They haven't done anything in this series either in the 30-40 years that we've played. They haven't done anything here either, and yet here they are, 10th place, still prestigious. And we take 1-8-5 season and plummet. I did finally level up again. We started the year with a level up, and we finish the year with a level up. It's rare that we've been able to get more than one in a season for a good while here. It's really rough on how it goes about getting those level ups, but we're making our progress, and that is the nature of the beast. So we've been working on the offensive line, and Home Sweet Home is boost pipeline bonus for offensive linemen, which would certainly be nice, but I think what we need to be boosting is the pipeline, not necessarily the pipeline bonus. So I think we're good with only taking on the 3 tiers. So what I want to get into after offensive line, do I want to make the move to the opposite side of the ball and boost that defensive line? you got 3 or 4 guys on the field at a given time there instead of 5, so it's not quite as beneficial. DBs certainly could be. I mean, you got a couple corners, a free safety, and a strong safety. That's like 4 guys affected at a time. And realistically, it's kind of any of them. You're getting 3 or 4 out of any of them. Where if you go the quarterback route, we're benefiting a single player. Wide receivers definitely affects 3 to 4 guys on the field at a given time. But we've already made it an offensive push. I think I do need to go the defensive route. It's just which way do I want to go? Do I want to go secondary? I think I'll do those before the linebackers. Though the linebackers do certainly kind of, they're the neutral one. They benefit both. They're going to help your secondary and they're going to help your line. So maybe we start there. The obvious next target that I want to get into is program builder. Then we need to win 2 more playoff games to get there. But I'm actually hoping that we win a championship in the midst of getting those couple playoff wins. So we may not ever even get into that pathway. 0 athletes in the class this year, so position changes is going to be done and dusted fairly quickly, but movement between secondary, linebacker positions, etc. Is still going to take me a minute. Well, the list of 90 plus is a couple shorter than it was a year ago, but we've added some guys that were really talented. Maava was a transfer running back. He's a junior this year. He's a 94 overall. So we have that top end running back that we did not have the last couple of seasons. Also, quarterback, we're just fine. Cody was a transfer. He is a pocket passer. We'll have to see what his legs are like here. But he's a 90 overall. So we are right back where we were at the level of Skaggs. And he's got great agility. Not a lot of speed. It's not terrible speed, though. He's got a decent carrying attribute, so he's not going to drop the ball much. He's not going to break very many tackles, though. So, I mean, this is not like a hardcore runner. But he can move the ball a little bit. The mid-80s list, third of the way down, as has been the case here of late. Your 80-plus list, now 3/4 of the way down, not just 2/3 of the way. So it's extended. Getting to the bottom of the list, 2 guys. Just 2 players. Do not hit a 70-plus. And Stork was the one from last year. He didn't improve. So it looks like we have 1 bust player on the roster. We also have a redshirt freshman right tackle who only improved a bit and not a ton. But your 75 plus already begins right here. So there's a few guys that are a little off from where we were a year ago. But a lot of this is fullbacks. There's 3 fullbacks on this list. It's a rough position to maintain. We don't even necessarily have to have any. I mean, we could always just keep it empty and halfbacks could fill those slots, but then they wouldn't be blockers. And it's a strange one. It's a peculiar one. It wouldn't be the end of the. It wouldn't be that bad if I stopped recruiting. I'm liking how Cook did here, though, jumping 6 points to a 70. Hopefully, he's still got some progression ahead of him so that he can push into those upper 70s and maybe hit an 80. Teague did not improve. Coons did. Coons was another transfer that I brought in as a just in case and to help fill out the quarterback room, as there's just 4 guys here. But Cody's just a sophomore. Assuming that he doesn't go straight to the draft as a 90 overall, I'm going with fingers crossed that we can keep him in the starting job for 2 years. That would really help us. But now having a 94 at halfback and 3 guys into the 80s behind him and not a single senior in the halfback room, and there are some freshmen that don't show up here on this list, so we have plenty of running backs. It's a really good sign for the future. Well, fullback is always a concern, though there is a freshman also there with them who I think was a little bit better overall. But wide receiver looks really good. We got 2 mid-90s and a couple 80s behind them. Tight end, we've got an 80. We don't have the 90 we had a year ago, but that's just a sophomore in Babcock, and we'll be okay at tight end. Left tackle, we've got an 88. Left guard, we've got a 90 and a couple of 80s. We've got an 85 at center. And a couple of freshmen to back them up, so we're a little thin at center this year. 91 for right guard, and 94 for right tackle, so plenty of talent across the line. Just the center position a little off. Left edge, mid 80s, right edge, upper 80s, defensive tackle, upper 80s, and across, like all four guys are 80 plus. Strong side, 88. Middle, 85. Weak side, 86. Plenty of talent, but no 90s. Lots of upper 80s at corner, and everybody's an 80 plus. Same with free safety. Strong safety, lower 80s. There's a couple positions that are a little bit on the rebuild this year. 84 for kicker, though. That's one of the best we've had in a while. 83 for punter, the redshirt freshman with tremendous development. He's going to take over the starting job. That's nice. That's really nice. I've backed off a little bit on recruiting kickers and punters. Now that we're not losing guys, then we're able to retain them. Kind of doing it every other year recruitment situation. So no seniors this year in the kicker room, but I'll recruit a kicker and a punter again. They'll redshirt, of course, for the year. Then those seniors will graduate and we'll take a year off again, so we'll only have two, but it'll keeps a decent kind of revolving door of talent, kind of getting one of each every other year. It does look really good, but not phenomenal, right? This is not a 99 overall kind of squad. I don't know if it's a 96 overall either. Maybe it's a 94 or 95 for the coming year, but fingers crossed, maybe it is a 96 still. I'm not going to change conferences this year. I'm pretty happy with how things are going. We are not one of the big conferences, yet somehow we are. Us and Tulane get into the playoff pretty regularly, and there's been a lot of occasions where both of us are able to make it, win or lose that conference championship, and that's a good path forward. And we get a fairly healthy conference evaluation for the recruits with that B+. I don't think we necessarily need to go beat ourselves up in the Big Ten to do what we're doing. They've made it a little too easy for us in Tulane to regularly make that playoff. So I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with the American, at least for now. Now, if we win a couple more championships, then, well, by then my series is going to be done, right? But maybe we'll make the move at that point. Well, we're right on the path that I figured we were. Not quite a 96, but 94, maybe a little bit better. Yeah, it turns out that, yeah, exactly. 95. The offense is a 96. The defense, where I did notice a couple of positions were a little bit thinner, a 94 this year. That should still be good enough to make the playoff, though. I would think quite comfortably. We'll see if it's good enough to win the conference, because Tulane's always going to be a challenge, and we go undefeated and they go undefeated and they host like every year. We have a better, well, they have that fourth star, so they have the ranking. I don't know what the tiebreaker is, but they always have that ranking. We both go in undefeated after not playing each other, or I seem to always play them on the road when I do play them in the league. We'll see if that's the case again this year. Will I finally get a chance to actually host them? I mean, I have hosted them before. Maybe it's just my personal bias not noticing how balanced it's been, but it doesn't feel like it. Wow, no week 0 game, finally. FCS West still on the calendar, which is a strange one, but that's the nature of a half-star program or a 0-star program from when we started out. They just keep that kind of locked in to our scheduling pattern. But we're going to host Texas A&M, who begin the season 15th. Looks like I'm beginning the season 10th, right where we left off last year. Nevada is a home game. They were 4-8 a year ago. Texas A&M 10-3 last season. Definitely not going to be an easy game, but certainly a winnable game. And then we've got Auburn on the schedule. And yeah, we're hosting Tulane, who begin the season at 11th. Man, oh man, okay. It's a challenging schedule, but it's also winnable. We could still go undefeated, or we could easily take one loss into a conference championship game. Who gives us that loss? It could be Auburn, it could be Tulane, it could be Texas A&M. But being that we are hosting all three of those, we've got a decent chance to run the table. But I also think we have a better chance of taking at least one loss, splitting those games, going 2-1 against three top 15 teams. Hopefully not 1-2 through that stretch. This season I'm in newfound territory in that a lot of guys like us. There's a good number of 5 stars that like us. There's a really good number of 4 stars that like us, and we can basically recruit any 4-star player this season. There doesn't seem to be any deal breaker issues, so we've fixed a few grades without adding that half star. I think a little bit of our particular grades in terms of exposure, brand exposure, because we get more big TV games. We've been in those playoffs. We also have a little more history as a program, and so we've picked up a couple of grades, and virtually everybody likes us. So I've been able to do something a little bit differently, which is this first class is there's still a few deal breaker ones, the brand exposure in particular, but I'm able to just go after all of the guys that really like us and target them first and foremost, and I'll get 35 without even having to go to the lower end of the 4 stars. This is all higher end guys. This is all top 100 guys to open with. Now, of course, we're not going to get a lot of them, but it's going to be a good head start on those that we can go after, those that we can recruit from this list. That's 35 already, and that was still in the top 100. The couple lists that I looked at 5 stars first, added about 8 or 9 guys this year that all had us on their interest list. Then I went the Ohio list and never went below the 4-star guys. So good, talented pipeline guys. That filled me out decently well. That's where I normally start. And then this list, which was filtered to guys that were in the top 5 4 and 4-star or better, then went by their rank. And I've got a list of 35 before I even left the top 100. So very much newfound territory. I'm still going to end up deleting more than half of them after this first week, going, not going to get that one, not going to get that one, not going to get that one. Too many good programs who still have 2 stars more than I do, or 1.5 stars more than I do, and will beat us. Pick your battles. But this is a very different start point, because then we're going to come after all these guys in the coming weeks that are still top 200. A lot more options, a lot more depth, a lot more. They are interested in joining us. They recognize that we are coming along, even though we're still just a 3-star program officially. The high schoolers are starting to recognize. It's weird, though, that we just can't seem to pick up and or maintain that growth within those stars. It is so minor, so incremental in the gain compared to every other program. Like, Tulane's nowhere near a 4-star program, but a handful of years of being the best in the conference just shot them right on up, and now they're holding at 4 stars. I would get it if we'd be holding at 4 stars too and not being able to grow past that point, but we've been as successful, if not more successful, than they have over the last 10 years, yet they're there and we are here. The gap continues. And sorry, that's the 3rd time I brought it up. I'm done. Can you tell that I'm a little bitter about losing that half star and not being able to recover it? 4-0 to start the season. We've already had the first run-in of the 3 top 15 teams. That was Texas A&M. We were at home. They're an 85 overall. We crushed them. It was 52-22. They've since lost another game and dropped out of the rankings entirely, but the other 2 are both in the top 10. So we do still have Tulane and Auburn to navigate, but so far so good. We are averaging just over 50 points a game, and defensively, maybe 20 to 25 points a game is all we're giving up. Tulane has bounced back in a big way this year. They've got a 92 overall. It's the first time we've seen them in a few years, 90 plus. We're both top 10. We're both undefeated. We're both 2-0 in conference. But finally, we get Tulane at home. We have not fared well in these matchups during the regular season against Tulane. Can we finally get them this season so that we can host a second time for the conference championship? And we've done it. Incredibly close game means that the likely rematch for the conference championship is anything but decided. But we win 31-27 against Tulane. They only dropped to 12. We jump, meanwhile, up to 6th in the country with that win. We got our first commit. It's quarterback, 4 stars. Egbule. We got up to 3rd momentarily, but a weaker opponent the following week saw us drop to 5th, even though we win. So at 7-0, we're 5th in the nation. And Auburn is currently 6th. They're 5-1. They've already taken a loss. They're also just an 87 overall, but that's what prestige will do for you when you have it versus when you don't. We could be ranked easily in the top 1 or 2 or 3 in the country if we're one of the only undefeateds, but it is what it is on that part. We're not in the biggest conference. We don't have the most prestige. Now, we've got a big test in Auburn. And a good sign, we've got a free safety signed. It's only a 3-star, though. But he's like the first 3-star. Left guard, 4 stars. And so we did end up splitting when it came to our 3 top 15 opponents. We went 2-1, just as I predicted. And at the beginning of the season, I felt that would be pretty good. Dropping to 7-1, we dropped to 12th in the rankings. That was not a great showing from us. They are 6-1. It certainly helped them. They're up to 4th. Tulane's back up into the top 10 at 9th. We could absolutely get back up there. And the good news is it was a non-conference loss. It does not hurt our position to hopefully finish out the season. Tulsa's 18th, 7-1. And we're on the road. We've got another big test coming up right now. And then UAB is 6-2. Florida Atlantic and Memphis look like those should be wins. Last 3 are all at home. But the next 2 games, we're going to have to play really well to recover from the loss we just took and not see us plummet down the rankings a little bit. Or out entirely. Good news is we have to travel to Tulsa, is that they're only a 74 overall. So when you take 10 points away, we should still be the favorites, though this is going to be closer than a lot of our league games outside of the Tulane matchup. 5-star recruit, middle linebacker Whitehart has signed with us. That's huge. We're also going to get 4-star free safety Gauthier. And 4-star free safety Mast, which somebody, one of those 3 free safeties will move over to strong safety to balance things out. It's really hard to recruit free safety. Strong safety, free safety is a little bit easier to get. Another commit, 4-star Little John, wide receiver. Right guard Bunch, 4 stars. And we've passed the test. Tulsa, out of the rankings, we beat them 49-31. UAB, never saw the rankings, but still were quality opponent, 45-24. So we get both of those wins, and we have 2 home games left with Florida Atlantic and Memphis, both of which should be wins. So currently we are 9th in the nation at 9-1. We should finish 11-1 in the regular season, and we are 1st in the conference, undefeated. That will give us the home field advantage for the championship. And then the big question is, can we hang on against Tulane, who is ranked 8th while we're ranked 9th, even though we beat them in the head-to-head? They still won't give us the leg up on them, even though it was a top 5 team in the nation that beat us. This was a record set a long time ago. I looked back at the records, actually just this last off-season, off-camera. Single game receiving yard record. Jason Cedar has broken that. It was like 230-something yardage through the air for one receiver. We've got a new record setter. 239 yards, there you go. 230-something was what it was. 230-something is what he got. Just the last 230-something and 3 touchdowns. Somebody in the top 10 lost. Didn't change the order between us and Tulane, though. They're still number 7. But we won the conference regular season title because we beat them head-to-head. So we will get to host them in the American Football Championship. Another signature 4-star right guard, Huber. Bad timing. Hopefully it's not immediate and it's only going to happen at the end of the season, but our offensive coordinator is checking out. He's heading to the NFL. I hope we can still perform because we're heading into the conference championship right here, right now, against 11-1 Tulane, whose only loss was to us. This is what I'm talking about recently here. Like Georgia. Georgia hasn't done anything in decades, in more than a decade in this game. They've not been the same. Yet we could be miles ahead of them, have a successful visit, week 13, that was right before the end of the season, be on the verge of commit, getting the hard sell, football influencer, exactly what he wants, big pluses, all 50 hours, like, we're doing maximum. Okay, we're still only 3 stars, I get it. But Georgia is not the program they were, yet they can still, one time, commit 50 hours and gain quadruple what we can ever gain. They haven't done anything in a decade. How are they still a 5-star, 4-star kind of program? And how are they able to gain that much and we can't? There's a second one that looks exactly like this, and it's Georgia. Well, it's a good sign that we just had the conference championship and we've got somebody signing. That doesn't mean necessarily that we won the game, but it is a good sign. Normally you get more points when you're winning than when you're losing. Single season record broken for receiving yards setter. And we are American champions in back-to-back years. That's our 4th championship. And it's the first time, I think, I believe, we've gone every other. This might be the second time that we've won 2 in a row. But it's definitely the first time we've done it in the American. But it might be the first time all these years that we've done a back-to-back. I think we might have done it once. Back in the MAC. Setter had 179 yards and 3 touchdowns. Wow, that was close. 47-45. The offense got turned on compared to the last time that we played each other. Defense did not show up, but we outgunned them by 2 points. They are 9th in the country now, so they are still headed for the playoff. 4-star weak side linebacker Flood has signed. And 4-star tight end Oluwakan has signed. And another halfback, Mateo, 4 stars. Heisman, quarterback out of Michigan, Walters, 50 touchdowns, 4,200 yards, 74% pass completion. Not sure I've seen one that high. That's good. It's very good. Setter, not too surprised. Best receiver in the country this year. 1,600 yards, 16 touchdowns. Still came up short, though, of 100 receptions on that. So Filipovich, who's just climbed in the last 2 years from a C prestige to a B to now an A-, and he's heading off to the NFL, so I do need to replace him. Boy, that's interesting. So we have a scheme guru offensive coordinator. He's the highest level of any of the possibilities, and all of it goes into the scheme guru category, meaning he's going to have a lot of bonuses for our offense if he signs with us. But he is also interested in Texas, or they're interested in him anyway. They're also interested in me for that particular job. But he's got such a healthy... Ooh, but he's power spread, not just regular spread. We are going to offer him, though. Peach Bowl, 2nd round. 3rd in the nation, so we've got that 1st round bye. But it's the Peach Bowl. We're not going to be at home. We have to play in neutral territory. So Alabama at 11 might very well have a much better team than we have. But last year they weren't even ranked. So maybe they're just riding the old prestige to carry them through. Maybe they're not actually that good. Probably are, but maybe. Reagan has accepted the offer. It's the first time our coordinator's not going to match the scheme that we have. So the question is, do we want to change the scheme to match his style? With the reevaluation heading into the playoff here, we're still seen as a 95. Hasn't changed, but they are a 96. Neutral territory looks like a 50-50 kind of game, which means we're probably going to lose. Offensively, we've been the better team by about a touchdown and 100 yards through the air. We've been really good there. On the ground, we haven't done quite as much, but we do have a good running game when we use it. We're just so lethal through the air. Well, seeing how we were doing 400 yards through the air a game, no surprise that Cody has set the single season passing yard record, which is the conference one as well, which we already held that record previously, just a year ago. Mayava, we ended up getting forced onto the ground, but he only got 64 yards on just 8 carries. We were forced to go to the ground because the air game just wasn't working. 41-24 Alabama has beaten us. You can see through the first couple of rounds where we're at, but the semifinals is Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, the only upset. Tulane this time did not get out of the first round. The one team to beat us this season before Alabama was Auburn. Auburn ended up the 5 seed, losing to BYU 46-44 in the first round. Well, finally we get some recognition. Not only do we gain the half star, we gained an entire star. We are now a 4-star program. What in the world is going on with that? I don't know, but we're a 4-star program now. That's going to make a massive difference. I think it's only a matter of time until we finally get that national championship. We're a regular for the playoff. Now it feels like we're about to be a contender to win. We haven't felt like that. We've gone into games as underdogs and surprised teams. They didn't take us seriously. When they do take us seriously, when they look at us as quality, we tend to lose those. We've been losing those, like that Alabama one. But we are going to finish the year ranked 4th in the nation. And yeah, 12-2, now 4 stars. Georgia beat Clemson. Michigan beat Alabama upset Michigan to go all the way to the championship game. But it is Georgia, number 1 in the nation. They're back after not doing anything for a decade. They've shown up in a big way this season. No wonder they were recruiting so well and stealing some recruits from us. They were undefeated, charging forward, and they'll be right back to that 5-star prestige if they weren't already. That is going to do it for this episode, though. I'm really excited about what we can do going forward with 4 stars. We've already had a good recruiting season here so far. A lot of 4-star guys. Only a single 5-star, though, so it may not be a top 5 this season. I think with the transfer market and all the 4 stars that we can get out of that, we should be able to easily crack the top 10. In fact, I've checked a couple times this season, and we've been comfortably inside the top 10 current status in terms of our recruiting class. With the extra star during the transfer market, I feel like we should be able to secure a decent amount of signatures there, as we're going to have a little more staying power in those recruiting battles. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.